Well, hi folks, and welcome to the Old Hammered card table in the Old Hammered living room. And today we're going to play a game of Sword Weirdos, a graveyard game. And Lynn is with me today, and she's going to have a team of dwarf treasure hunters going into the skeleton-infested graveyard to try to steal some treasure. So,
that's going to be exciting.
Exciting stuff. So here are the 5 dwarf treasure hunters led by Ludwig von, help me out.
Feuerstein.
He is a magic user and a healer. And he's got very useful spells like Holy Aura, Fireball, Magic Missile, and Smite, plus a magic staff. And since he's a sorcerer, magic is easier for him to use. He doesn't have to spend 2 actions to cast 2 action spells. Next to him is Mason the Hammer, who is a burly fighter with a hammer, and he has a might of 2d10, so he's pretty powerful. This happy fellow here is Nick the Knife. He's an assassin, a dwarf assassin, which doesn't mean he assassinates dwarves. It means he is a dwarf and an assassin. Next to Nick the Knife is Olaf the Hunter, who's got a bow, and because he's a hunter, his targets don't get cover from ranged attacks, and he doesn't get a penalty for shooting on the run, so he can run and gun. And finally, we have Leif the Berserker right here, and as a Berserker, he can become unstaggered without having to roll for it, so that's pretty good. And he has a big hammer that can smash and crush. So that is Lynn's team of dwarf treasure hunters. So those pesky dwarves will be skulking into the graveyard, and they're going to try to steal magic stones from the Barrow Wight and his army of skeletons. So the skeletons themselves are pretty average. They're basically just undead fighters with spears and swords and axes. The Barrow Wight, however, is a magic user and an assassin. So he can charm, he's got telekinesis and ice blast. And he's probably going to use that telekinesis to move those stones around to prevent the dwarves from getting their hands on them. And as an assassin, he's pretty handy with a dagger. He knows just how to find those weak spots. Plus, he is extra planar, which means he can kind of float around the battlefield as though he was flying. So he can ignore terrain and stuff.
That'll make getting around those buildings nice and easy. Just fly right over the top.
He can just float over the top, correct. So we've set up some magic stones. There's one here, there's one here, there's one here, one there, and one over there. And the dwarves will need to get next to them and pick them up. And then they can leave the table from either of these shorter edges. So not the long edges on the sides, but either the front or the back edge. And if they do, they get a victory point, or they can just try to wipe out all the skeletons. So we'll see what those pesky dwarves decide to do.
Skeleton hunting or treasure hunting?
Okay, so starting out, the Barrow Wight and his minions are kind of back here on this edge. And the dwarves are carefully entering the graveyard from this edge over here. And so, unless we forget, the undead are using red tokens and red dice. And the dwarves are using gold tokens because, dwarves and green dice. And because their warband trait is adventuring party, they get 3 maneuver tokens around versus these skeletons 2. So that's pretty handy.
That could be very handy. I just got to remember to use them.
So yeah, there's a lot to remember, but we will endeavor to do our best. But let's just jump right into the action. Dwarves versus skeletons in the old graveyard. Okay, start at turn 1, rolling for initiative. Undead are red and the dwarves are green. 7 versus 12, so the dwarves have initiative. Are you going to activate first, or are the undead going to activate first?
The undead.
The undead. So I think this skeleton right here with an axe is going to move 2 sticks and go right about there. So he has 2 movement tokens. Do you remember painting all those roses and skulls?
I do.
Now the dwarves get to activate somebody.
So Mason the Hammer is going to move 1.5 sticks to get closer to the treasure.
So Mason the Hammer is moving kind of like that. So he moved 2 sticks. Now he could have moved 3 if you'd spent a command point to hasten, but you're preserving those precious command points.
I am.
So that's Mason the Hammer right there, getting close to that magic rock. Okay, on the skeleton's activation, the skeleton with a spear right here is going to move 2 sticks, and he can attack from 1/2 stick away because of his spear. So he zooms over here, moving 2 sticks worth, and jabs at Mason the Hammer. Plus he moved 2 sticks, so he gets an attack bonus. It's kind of a charge. They don't call it a charge, but it's a charge. So normally he attacks with a might of 2d8, but now it's 2d10 because he moved 2 sticks.
And Mason defends with 2d8.
Okay. So 14 versus a 7, so that's double. So the skeleton rolls on the melee attack table, adds 1 because his attack roll was double the defense roll, plus he gets another 1 because the spear has piercing, so plus 2. So, we'll see what happens. 9, 10, 11, that's dead. So he shish kebabbed Mason the Hammer. So an inauspicious start for the dwarves.
Well, it'll make for a quick game.
Okay, so that was a lucky shot with the spearman killing poor Mason. But now the dwarves get to activate and take a horrible revenge.
So Olaf the Hunter is going to shoot at the spearman.
So Olaf the Hunter right here is going to shoot at the spearman right here. And because Olaf is a hunter, the spearman won't get any cover. But I think he'll still get a defensive bonus for moving 2 sticks. So the spearman here has moved 2 sticks, so he gets a defense bonus. So he's now defending with 2d8. And the hunter is shooting with 2d8, correct?
Correct.
Okay. 13 versus a 14. So the shooter hits, rolls on the ranged attack table, gets a 9, which is down and staggered. So the skeleton is down and staggered. So Olaf gets a reload token for his trouble, and he's going to immediately reload. So he fired, he reloaded, and now he can take another action if he wants to.
I think he's going to just stay there.
So Olaf is just going to hang out. He shot, he reloaded, and he's hanging out. So I think this skeleton with an axe right there is going to move 2 sticks and get over here by this rock. He can't quite pick it up yet because he doesn't have 2 actions for an interact action, but he can stand next to it and kind of look menacing with his axe. So that's what he's going to do. And he gets 2 movement tokens. So on the dwarves activation, Nick the Knife is moving, right?
Nick the Knife.
And he's going to move 2 sticks and try to stomp on this skeleton here. So he moves over here. The skeleton who is down and staggered, that's a prime target for an assassin. Stab, stab. So the assassin is going to get the quote-unquote charge bonus for moving 2 sticks. He's got his dagger, so he can attack with 2d8 plus bonus for charging, so that's 2d10.
2d10.
2d10 versus the skeleton's defense of
2d6.
2d4 because he's staggered.
Oh.
And actually, it would be less than that because he's down and staggered. But 2d4 is as low as you can go. And I got a 4, and you got a 9, so that's double. So you roll on the melee attack table and add 1.
7.
7. So 7 is down. Now here's where the stacking effect comes into play. Since the skeleton is down already, a second down is a staggered result, which gives him 2 staggered results, which takes him out of action. So that skeleton is removed from play because of a deft knife thrust from the assassin, who bravely attacked him while he was down and staggered.
It was revenge for the hammer.
For the hammer. Avenge me. By Grabthar's hammer, you shall be avenged. So that's the wily assassin, and he happens to be next to a rock right now, so that's pretty handy. All right, so there's a skeleton down here with a sword, and he's going to move, maybe 2 sticks kind of this way. Like so. So if Nick the Knife starts getting frisky and decides to steal that precious cemetery rock, perhaps this skeleton can intervene. Okay, dwarves. So Leif the Berserker, are you thinking that it's his time to shine right now?
He's going to give it a shot.
Okay, so he's going to berserk his way 2 sticks and crash into that skeleton there.
Because he's by the treasure.
Because he's by the treasure, the precious rock. So Leif moved twice. That's going to give him a bonus on his attack. He already attacks with d10s, right?
He does, so it'll be d12s.
D12s. And the skeleton defends with a measly 2d6 because he's just a pile of bones. Though they do recover easier if they get staggered. All right, 2d12 versus 2d6. 18. Can I beat that with 2d6? 4. So that's more than triple, so you get a +2 on the melee attack table result chart. 6, 7, 8 is staggered. So you staggered that skeleton. He's not knocked down, but he is staggered. You rang his bell. He cannot attack or do anything until he becomes unstaggered, but as a member of the undead, when he attempts to recover from being staggered, it will be automatic. He doesn't have to roll for it. So if he survives till his next turn, then he can just spend 1 action to become unstaggered and then carry on as normal. So maybe it would behoove you to try to eliminate him before that happens. So skeletons, I think I have 2 left. So the Barrow Wight and a skeleton with a sword. So perhaps this skeleton right here will move a couple of sticks and try to help out his skeleton brother over here. Then he's got 1 action left to attack Leif the Barbarian. Now normally a gang up bonus would apply, but since the skeleton with the axe is staggered, I don't think he contributes to that. So it's just 1 skeleton versus Leif. The skeleton did move in 2 sticks, which gives him a buff, and Leif, as a Berserker, gets a -1 on his defense roll, because he's just kind of running around naked. So skeleton attacks with, what, 2d10, I think. And Leif is defending with 2d8 -1.
Right.
8 versus 3.
2.
8 versus 2 because of the -1, so that's triple. So that's pretty good. So we're rolling on the melee attack table and adding 2. 5, 6, 7 is down. So Leif is down. That could have been worse, though. Considerably worse. So there's still 2 models to activate this turn. The Wizard and the Barrow Wight. So Ludwig the Wizard has a fireball template, which is quite large. Now you can't shoot missile fire into close combat, but it doesn't say anything about area of effect. So you're going to try to drop that template so that it scorches the skeletons, but doesn't burn up Leif in the process. No burning leaves.
No burning leaves. It's the dry season.
So Ludwig is moving 2 sticks, like so. And then he's got to place the template within 1 stick. So he's going to drop the template right here, if you can see it, which should scorch these 2 skeletons, but leave Leif untouched. That's some surgical precision with that spellcasting. That's why he's the leader. Don't worry, I'm going to drop this fireball right next to you, but you won't be touched. So the fireball drops right there, gets these 2 skellies in the process. Ludwig has a willpower of 2d10, correct?
Yep.
So he rolls a 2d10 to cast the spell with his willpower, and then the skellies defend with their willpower, which is what, 2d8, I think.
2d8.
So rolling for the fireball, 17, that's going to be hard to defend against. So the skelly with a sword got 12, so he gets hit by the fire. And the other one got a 7, so he gets hit by the fire, but it's a +1 on the ranged attack table. 8 is staggered, so the first skeleton is staggered. And the second one, you roll with a +1. 8, so they're both staggered. The skeleton who's already staggered gets a second stagger token, and as a result, he's out of play, so he is burned to a crisp.
Now you're Barrow Wight.
Now the Barrow Wight. What evil can he do? So there's the Barrow Wight right there. He can kind of just float across the battlefield, being an extra-planar individual. And what he should try to do is charm somebody. But if he does so, he can only move 1 stick, because it's a 2-point spell, and he doesn't have Sorcerer, so he has to spend 2 actions to cast it. So who could we charm? Okay, so if the Barrow Wight moves over here, I think he's got line of sight on Olaf the Hunter over there. So I could make Olaf maybe shoot at Leif, who's lying on the ground, as vengeance for that fireball. So the Barrow Wight floats over there. He's going to use his powers way over here at the Hunter. So rolling 2d10 versus 2d8 to see if Olaf can resist the charm, resist the urge to shoot an arrow at his brother. So I got a 10, and you got an 8. So Olaf is charmed.
I should not have reloaded.
Oh yeah, so had you not reloaded, then there wouldn't be an arrow ready to go. So anyway, Olaf pivots and feels compelled to shoot an arrow way over here at poor Leif, who's lying on the ground. So unfortunately for Leif, being down does not give him a defensive bonus, but because he has 2 movement tokens, he does get a defensive bonus. So normally he rolls 2d8 for defense, but now he's rolling 2d10s. Still -1 though, because of his berserkerism. Are you rolling everything?
I'm rolling everything, because it's me defending and me attacking.
Oh yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Oh, shit.
So that is a 19 on the attack versus a 7 on the defense.
That's double.
That's double. Rolling on the ranged attack table, adding 1. 11, 12.
He's dead.
So anyway, poor Leif, after surviving the fireball, is pincushioned by his own troops. Okay, so I think that's everybody
It is.
on this turn. So now we go into turn 2. And we remove our tokens and stuff. And 2 skeletons are dead and 2 dwarves are dead. And since we both forgot to use any maneuver tokens this turn, we'll be rolling d8s for initiative instead of d6s. So 9 versus 11, the dwarves get to move first.
Okay.
Or have the skeletons move first, as you wish. And I kind of hate to bring this up because you guys are still mourning Leaf, but Olaf does get a reload token because he shot last turn.
Okay, we're going to move
My gift to you.
half a
token.
stick,
You're going to move half a stick.
reload, and shoot the crap out of your Barrow Wight.
Okay. So Olaf is right here. He moved half a stick. And he's shooting way over here at the Barrow Wight because I think he took the whole mind control thing kind of personally.
He did.
So Olaf is shooting with 2d8.
2d8.
And the Barrow Wight is defending with 2d8. Okay. 7. Otherwise known as crap. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Versus a 6.
But not crappy enough, so good.
Yeah, but you hit anyway.
Yeah, I hit, so that's good.
Roll on the ranged attack table.
Give me a 12.
Straight up.
No.
5. 5 is take cover. If able, the defending model may move 1 stick. If it was dive for cover, it was a 6, then you'd be able to move him. But because it's take cover, he moves himself. So the Barrow Wight is going to float over here. So he's taking cover behind this building. Okay, I think on the skeleton's turn, this skeleton right here is going to become unstaggered. He doesn't have to roll for it because he's undead. And he's going to move 1 stick and attack Ludwig.
Can I do a magic shield?
You can do a magic shield. So Ludwig is being attacked. He has a staff, and one of his maneuvers, if you spend a maneuver point, is magic shield. So what that does is allows the magic user to roll will for defense instead of defense for defense. And since your will is 2d10, that's pretty good. So Ludwig has a couple of advantages here because of his wizard staff. So he gets a +1 on defense rolls, and any roll on the attack table against him receives a -1 penalty, so that's pretty good. Plus he's using the magic shield maneuver. So he's rolling 2d10 +1. And the skeleton is attacking the 2d8. Skeleton got a 5, Ludwig got a 6, a 7 with the bonus, so that's a miss. Skeleton moved 1 stick and attacked, and that is his activation. Now the dwarves get to go.
Nick the Knife is going to attack the skeleton.
So Nick the Knife is going to move 1 stick and attack this skeleton. He's going to go like that. So Nick has a couple choices here. He has a dagger, so he could attack twice, or he could cast Smite, which is a 1-point spell, and then attack. So Smite might give you a bonus on your attack result table, and the dagger attack would give you a second dagger attack, though it would be weaker.
I think I will try to cast Smite.
All right.
So his willpower is 2d8.
So 2d8 versus 2d6. So he casts Smite successfully.
Okay.
So he's going to get a +1 on his melee result table if he's successful in his attack. And what's his might?
2d8.
2d8, and the skeleton is defending with 2d6. 8 versus a 4, so that's double. So you roll on the melee attack table and add 2, 1 for smite and 1 for rolling double. 8, 9, 10. Skeleton is removed from play, out of action. So he smote a skeleton.
What are the skeletons going to do?
So there are not many skeletons left. I think there's just the Barrow Wight and 1 skeleton. So I think this skeleton right here is going to move. He's going to need to move 2 sticks to get where he wants to be. But he's going to move in on Ludwig, like so, moving 2 sticks to get there. So the skeleton moved in. He's going to attack with his axe.
I'm going to use Magic Shield again.
You're using Magic Shield again. So Lynn reminded me, thank you, that the skeleton gets +1 die type for ganging up. And also he gets +1 die type for charging in. So he's rolling with 2d12s instead of 2d8s. And Ludwig's defending with his willpower.
Which is 2d10.
And he gets a +1 because of his staff. So 2d10 +1 versus 2d12s. And that's a 14 versus a 17. So Ludwig deftly deflected the attack.
Yay.
Yay.
Yay, Magic Shield.
Okay, so are there any dwarves left to activate? Oh, just Ludwig. So Ludwig right here still gets to activate. So Ludwig backs up one stick, which puts him right about there. And he drops a fireball template on those two skeletons. Boom. So there's Ludwig, and he drops a fireball on those two guys. He rolls his willpower, 2d10, and they're going to defend with their willpower of 2d8. 12. First skeleton, we'll say this is the one with the axe, gets an 11, so he's hit. And the second one gets a 7, so he's hit. So you roll twice on the ranged attack table.
10.
10. He's gone. Path.
And 3.
And 3. It can't be lower than a 5, so 5 is run away. Any result of less than 5 is counted as a 5. So he ran away from the blast. He just happens to be running toward Olaf.
So now you're Barrow Wight.
Now the Barrow Wight. He's going to spend one maneuver token to hasten, and he's going to float way over here and lock up Nick the Knife in combat.
Okay.
So he can't attack Nick, but he can get in base to base with him. So we go into turn 3. I suspect this will be the last turn of the game. And actually, because of the number of skeletons here that have been killed, I think the skeletons are on the verge of being broken. If at the end of the round your warband's leader is out of action or your warband has half or less of its starting number of models, you must check to see if it is broken. Make an unopposed will roll. If you fail, your warband is broken and rolls initiative with -1 die type for the remainder of the game. So let's see if the skeletons are broken. So the Barrow Wight is rolling to see if his warband is broken. He got a 9 versus an 8, so they're not broken. And let's see who wins initiative. 8 versus 11, so the dwarves get to go first.
And they will.
And they will. So in the dwarves activation, you're looking at this lone skeleton over here, and you're trying to decide whether to shoot him with an arrow or to have the wizard do something.
So I'm going to try to take out the skeleton with Ludwig. I'm going to
Okay.
cast Magic Missile first. If that doesn't get rid of him, then I am going to run in and whack him with my staff.
Okay, very good. So the skeleton's willpower is 2d8. Ludwig has a willpower of 2d10, so this is what we're rolling. 7 versus
8.
8. So you did get him with Magic Missile. It automatically hits, so you just roll on the melee attack table. I mean the ranged attack table, but anyway, that is a 9, which is down and staggered. So he's down and staggered. And you can still run up and hit him with the staff if you wish, and because he's down and staggered, he's rolling defense with 2d4, I think.
I am going to do that.
So Ludwig runs up. He's attacking with 2d8, and the skeleton is defending with 2d4. 11 versus a 6, so not quite double, almost, but you still roll on the melee attack table.
8.
8 is staggered, so that's a second stagger token, so that skeleton is out of action. All right. Way to go, Ludwig. Now the skeletons have only one person left. That is the Barrow Wight, who's going to try to assassinate the dwarf assassin. So I suppose he will cast Smite. So because the Barrow Wight is an assassin, he knows Smite automatically. So he's rolling 2d10. You want to roll a 2d6 for the unopposed will roll. And he got an 8 versus a 7, so he just barely succeeded in casting Smite.
Okay.
Now he's going to attack with his dagger. He'll probably attack twice.
Mm-hmm.
So the Barrow Wight is rolling 2d8 to stab with his dagger, and Nick the Knife is rolling
2d6.
2d6 for defense. 10 versus an 8, so the Barrow Wight hits. He's going to spend a point to activate Weak Spot. That's a maneuver. It gives him another +1 on the roll.
Okay.
So this is the melee attack roll with the +2. 10, 11, 12.
He's out.
And he kills Nick the Knife. And he's still got one more action. So maybe he will float on over this way. So that's the Barrow Wight right there. And then the last model to activate is Olaf the Archer.
So Olaf is going to reload his bow. Blink.
And he ambles over this way, which gives him line of sight on the Barrow Wight, and he's going to shoot an arrow. 2d8 versus 2d8, I believe. Barrow Wight got a 13. Olaf got a 6, so he missed.
He missed.
All right, so that's the end of that round. Should we play it to the bloody end?
Well, we got to both roll for breaking.
Yeah, I got to roll for broken warbands. So the Barrow Wight versus 5, so the Barrow Wight is fine. And the dwarves got an 8 versus a 5.
So they're both okay.
All right, well, going into turn 4, we'll say this is the last turn regardless. And let's roll for some initiative. 9 versus a 12.
So we'll go first.
So the dwarves are going first. So we got Barrow Wight right here, Olaf right here, Ludwig over here. So Olaf right here is going to reload and shoot the Barrow Wight.
So it's 2d8 versus 2d8, I think, right?
Yeah.
15.
15's a pretty good roll versus a 10. So you roll on the ranged attack table. And this could be the game.
Come on, something good, something good.
8. Staggered. So the Barrow Wight is staggered. And on his activation, he will spend an action to become unstaggered. He doesn't have to roll for it because he's undead. But he did burn a precious action to do that. So I guess what he's going to do is he's just going to kind of float over this way and get into base to base. With Olaf, so he moved twice, and he can't attack yet because he doesn't have any more actions. But he's an evil entity, so he just wants to get in there. So that's the Barrow Wight, and so the next person to activate is Ludwig. Okay, so what's Ludwig going to do?
I think Ludwig is just going to run in and try to smack him.
So he's going to run in with his staff.
And bonk him on the head.
Okay, so Ludwig moves 2 sticks, kind of charges in. He's going to get a gang-up bonus because of Olaf there.
So that brings him to 2d10, plus he charged. So that'll bring him to 2d12.
2d12 with his magic staff. And the Barrow Wight is defending with 2d8. 21 is pretty good versus a 5, so that's triple. So you roll on the melee table and add 2. Dead. So the Barrow Wight is removed from the mortal plane.
That was a close battle, though. So they do get to run off with all the treasure.
So the dwarves get to run off with all the treasure, though it was at the expense of 3 casualties. So they lost 3 dwarven brothers.
There will be many pyres of valor.
That's right, exactly. And as a bonus, they were able to eliminate all the undead from the ancient graveyard. And then tell me what's going on here. So you have 3 stones that you're allocating to the fallen.
They go up in their pyres so they can take them to Valhalla with them.
Oh, that's nice. So that gives you a net profit of 2 stones. Okay, folks, I guess that's a wrap on our Undead versus Dwarves game of Sword Weirdos. Hope you enjoyed it. Wherever you are, I hope the gremlins are under control. Stay frosty. We'll see you next time.